Studying final tables is painful. You need to run simulations. It takes time. You might have wrong input, yada, yada, yada. So it's quite a bit of a pain. In this video, we're going to be going through a bunch of different spots. I'm going to be showing you how I would approach all sorts of different scenarios. We have impaired an ICM tier where you can not only study ICM situations for early game, mid game, money bubble, all sorts of late game spots, but also for final tables. And we keep adding more spots. So I want to today do a not quick, but pumping out a lot of value for you guys in a short period of time to go over as many spots as possible. So I will go over this from my recent crazy final 888 final table spot from natural 8, like GG. I play on natural 8. I think it has a very interesting stack size distribution, not a clear short stack, few short stacks, but not extreme short stacks, 9-handed. So right from the start of final table, you will also find 6-handed, 5-handed, 4-handed, very short stacks, very big stacks, and so on and so forth. So let's go into the final table section. And yeah, let's go and run it and see what kind of spots we are encountered. All right, here we go. First one might happen on final tables. Guy jams 25 big blinds into you have 26 big blinds. We have a 10 big blind stacks now. We will be quizzing all sorts of different scenarios here. I would be calling. I think sixes might even be called just because he's shoving so many deuces to fives. Yeah, sixes a little bit. And here, very important, always make sure that you analyze his range as well. We see according to ICM, he's supposed to be shoving all these hands here, which I think he's not going to be shoving like the Jack 8 off, Jack 7 off, Queen 8 off. But I think he's shoving more of these pairs, more ace-x, and I think 7s and 6s are even better against a more realistic range because I don't see these two overcard kind of like 10-8 off, Jack 8 off. I also see people limping more like Queen Jack, King 9 suited type of hands. So I think it's very often like a weak ace that we dominate or a weak pocket pair. So I think 6s will do well, but also the softer the final table, the more you should omit those very marginal calls. Okay, this is easy. 10s, we 3-bet call here. Ace Jack suited. So we opt to 3-bet and he jams. I think, and this is of course where it deviates from theory, right? If we 3-bet call, we want to induce jams from ace 4, ace 5 suited, which he's supposed to have. If we look at facing a 3-bet versus a small blind, you can see that's how its GTO responds. I think it's very unrealistic, but then of course we call. But again, if I don't intend to 3-bet call, I would just call, or we have 24 big blinds, 25 big blinds. I just re-jam against him right away. If you think someone is capable to jam as wide as I just show you, then 3-bet call works great. Very interesting spot. Per default, I would fold, but I would also show you why this might be a good spot. Let's see what we're supposed to play. King Jack off would be the first hand, but also we want to mainly jam and 3-bet fold. We actually don't want to be flatting. Makes a lot of sense. Every single hand that is profitable as a call is probably going to be doing better as a jam because he's going to be supposed to play. That is a huge difference. Supposed to play very aggressive against us post flop. Our equity realization drops. So here I would highly recommend playing very aggressive. Also, his raise first in, as you can see, is not supposed to be that wide. 43% here in this spot is not that wide because the thing is he doesn't really want to collide with any of these stacks. He's turning into a mid stack. It's not that he has a massive chip lead against the button. Against he does, but also there's a relatively high collision likelihood if he folds. So he benefits also from folding, not getting involved with too many marginal hands because button can open and then the blinds rejam or blind versus blind collide against each other. So that's why he's not supposed to be that aggressive. If we also see what he's supposed to do against facing a 3-bet, let's say against us, you see also a very aggressive counter strategy. It's just because with our stack to pot or with our stack size itself, if we 3-bet to 7 big blinds or 8 big blinds, there's already a lot of dead money in the middle and there's only very little behind. For him, it's really worth to play this spot aggressive against 3-bets in theory. We also see we are not supposed to have a lot of 3-bets. We only want to use ace king suited. Maybe you want to add in queens. And then you see very low frequency offsuited ace-x. Even against that relatively value heavy, I mean, it's not a value heavy range because we have so few value hands and still a decent amount of bluffs. And yet, for him, it's still profitable to 4-bet jam really wide. So in reality, if people don't 4-bet jam wide as much as he's supposed to, also he's opening more, we should be 3-bet folding like Jack 10 off, like more offsuited aces, more offsuited kings. In general, play this spot way more aggressive against the cutoff. Again, I'm also trying to share, I think, my adjustments on low stakes, mid stakes. I have to be a bit more careful on high stakes because people have a better understanding of ICM, especially on final tables. But I think like these spots are still so heavily understudied because it's very difficult to study. and to get in the reputation, right? You can run a lot of chip EV sports, like it's done in no time. Like everyone knows in these days, who at least is a somewhat decent winning player, how to operate or run a solver tool. But here also in paired, our goal is to combine everything in once. ICM, preflop ranges, post-flop sims that you can practice, quizzes, etc., video content, and you don't need to sign up for like, I don't know, 5 or 3 different tools. I think this is a clear fold. 9s plus, 10-8 off, re-ISO raise. Of course, this is easy, but let's have a look what we're supposed to induce here. Ace 8 to Ace 10 suited is pretty much indifferent. 9s is indifferent and 10s. Let's what it is jamming range. Limp phasing ISO raise. Okay, I mean it's basically Queens plus Ace Jack and the I mean he's not really supposed to jam ever. What is he supposed to jam here? Jacks and a little bit of King 6 suited. Yeah, so again, this is where theory deviates a little bit from reality. I mean, 9s is going to be insanely profitable here because people limp jam 5s, 4s, right? They're not going to play this GTO simulation here in reality. So we raise, I think if we raise 7s, we call 8s, 9s, 10s. Of course, if there's only Jacks and King 6 suited, then 10s to 7s is like break even. But I think people limp jam like weaker Ace X. So if I have raise Ace 10 and Ace Jack, I'm happily calling off, or pocket 8s and 7s. Yeah, so 7s plus, Ace 10 suited plus here. Could be a min raise, but maybe like Ace 9, Ace 8 off. At least blocking some pocket 8s, pocket 9s additionally, not blocking like the auto folds from like 4 deuce off, etc. Let's see. Yeah, Ace 9 off. That's the range we want to be jamming / raising. Again, depends on the final. Ooh, super interesting spot. I think I would fold. I don't want to do something like this. Not the spot where you want to get fancy with suited aces. Just because we raise a really, really tight range. And he's also supposed to be pretty tight against that. I can see like some Ace 5 suited doing something, but I guess, yeah, very little. Actually, more than expected. More than expected. But you also see in this spot where the blockers are incredibly important. So facing an open versus UTG, you see he has some 8x, he has some nice 9x in his bluffing range, he has some 10x. That means us having 9s, 10s, and 8s is really bad. It is really, really bad. And also you see that he's supposed to flat Ace 5 and Ace 4 suited. So he's never really bluffing that much with a 4x or 5x hand apart from the suited King X and 4x hands. So I think in reality, you will see more bluff 3-bets coming from Ace 5 or Ace 4 suited. So I would be very cautious here jamming Ace 4, Ace 5 because, you know, he's going to be bluffing those. And in general, I don't see people being that aggressive against under the gun. So I would omit most of the suited ace, only against very good opponents, maybe that go after me or that try to exploit me, whatever. But you see like 10s, 9s, 8s is pretty bad here. Like I would put it forward just call because you block his Ace 10 off, or whatever, like his Ace 9 suited or King 9 suited, right? So like, and you're not blocking any value. So if you jam with 10s, yeah, you get it in against like what, Jacks plus and Ace King. But with Ace 5 suited, you at least block like a lot of his calls. You also have much better equity against Kings, Queens, Jacks with having 3 outs, the flush equity, the straight equity, and 10s, like you're just gonna be dead almost always. Yeah, you have the coin flip against Ace King, but it's still better to have. Or it's like, it's not better necessarily. Maybe it's tiny bit better, but it's at least as good as 10s or 9s here. And just if you think about it, this is what you need to understand in ICM, like in these blocker spots when the in-getting ranges are getting very tight, like you don't want to have a 10 or 9 or 8 in your hand really. So just for you to keep that in mind, that you don't think, I have 10s, 25 big blinds, like it's the 5th best starting hand, whatever. No, like actually in these spots very often you have aces, kings, queens, maybe jacks, and then sometimes like Ace 5, Ace 4 suited is the better hand to get goal in with, and then 10s and 9s, and then like maybe King 5 suited. Like there's some weird shit going on, and it's worth looking into and get familiar with that.